Everybody, welcome to another video for your favorite Rocket League news. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how Mikerules is finally hanging up his cleats. Goldrush 3 Revival officially starts today. Team BDS has announced a massive team house, and Renegades continue to dominate OCE with a recent win in Rocket League Oceania Grand Slam. For many of us OGs, we should all know and very much so respect the name Mikerules as one of the original first-time pros to come in. Mikerules was a player who was not only a SARP vet, but also considered one of the 3 best players in Europe, and ended up forming a very familiar roster to many of us, Flipside Tactics. For those that don't know, he played alongside Cookser and Marky Duda in the very early seasons, and part of the reason why this team came to be in the first place is because both Mike, Marky, and Cooks were all SARP vets, and were considered the 3 best players in Europe, let alone possibly the world. So they made this super team and it carried them to excellence, and quite honestly, a lot of people expected their domination to come for a very long time. And as we jump ahead through all the weekly tournaments and the ESLs and everything else, Flipside Tactics was a heavy favorite in Season 1 of RLCS and Season 2, and for a very long time. This team did end up going to the World Championship in Season 1, where they ultimately lost to iBuyPower Cosmic, Kronovi, and the crew. But a lot of people thought that they were the best team there, and due to being in a LAN environment and the first time that they're meeting and all the nerves, they ended up falling short. But many of us believe that they had easy favorites going into the World Championship at the Avalon, which I actually talked a little bit about in my last video. Ultimately, they did end up taking second place, losing once in the upper finals and then battling back through the lower bracket all the way to get to the grand finals again, where they lost to Kronovi and crew a second time, claiming second place and $11,000. Unfortunately, that was pretty much the end of Mikerules' pro career. Due to personal reasons and some internal struggles that he was going on, and a lot of personal details I won't share about the trials and tribulations that he faced personally, that was kind of the end of it for Mikerules. He ended up taking a step back, and as many of you guys know, Greasy Meister ended up stepping in, and Flipside took the inevitable win in Season 2 in Amsterdam, where they won the World Championship. So a lot of people believe that Mike, if given the motivation and some of the personal things weren't an issue, he would have been a long-standing player and was one of our favorite personalities very early on. Mike was not one to ever shy away from things, and was kind of a big personality very early on in the scene, and a longtime friend for a lot of us. You did see him make a couple runs in open qualifiers and in tournaments for Season 3, 4, and 5, but ultimately was never able to get back in, and has always kind of been a streamer instead. A lot of people know Mike for his late night streams at like 2, 3 in the morning in America and late into the night, and has always been quite entertaining for a multitude of reasons that, again, I can't really talk about due to being kid-friendly a little bit. The last time we saw Mike actually compete was in a fun show match between Flipside Tactics and iBuyPower back in May on like the 6th, held by Lethmere for a prize pool of just over $1,300. So unfortunately, it sucks to say as a longtime fan and someone that has kind of been a friend of Mike's for a very long time, he's officially sold his PC and will no longer be playing Rocket League, let alone streaming anymore either. So unfortunate to hear, but sometimes the ones move on. I did also tease kind of like a Rocket League Hall of Fame on Twitter recently. Check that out. I'm kind of curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are about if we did have like a committee of trusted individuals like myself, Cloud Fuel, and others, and kind of a committee that focuses on a core value, whether it be, players that are officially retired, rule sets that we have in place based upon what would work. Players like Mike would easily be in consideration. Let me know what you guys think about a Rocket League Hall of Fame down below. Starting today, June 29th at 6 p.m. Central European Standard Time, Goldrush 3 or Goldrush Revival will officially be starting. Again, if you haven't seen it in a previous video, there's 4 captains, which should be showing on your screen now. And they'll draft from a pool of 12 players, which I'll show in the next graphic. These teams will then compete in a double elimination bracket, with each match being a best of 5. And then the grand finals will be a best of 7, with the team coming from the winner's bracket having a 1-game advantage. Alongside that, captains will also have a unique currency called Golden Nuggets that they can use to wager on matches to earn additional prize money. Basically, whoever has the most nuggets at the end of the event will end up getting additional prizes. That way, the captains are also earning a little bit of cash rather than just the players. If you guys would like more specifics, on the top right, somewhere up here, you can probably find a link to a video where I talk about this in detail previously. Recently in a tweet, Team BS said, quote, "There is nothing on earth we wouldn't do for our players." And with that, one of the things they said is that they're building a brand new and apparently one of the biggest gaming houses in the world, because They want to build it from scratch, and they want to support their players in some capacity. You should be able to see an image on your screen right now with early glimpses of the gaming house and what it is. Currently, Team BDS has a team in League of Legends, Rocket League, FIFA, Teamfight Tactics, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, and Fortnite. So it'll be interesting to see on how they utilize this with all the different teams. I actually didn't know how big Team BDS or what their involvement was in, so I had to go and look this up, but it does seem like they have quite a few talent employed, so it'll be interesting to see what this translates into and how big this office is actually going to be, if it is truly a gaming house or if it is a space that they rent out or are building out, and then it's going to allow the players to cycle through. I personally believe that Team BDS is actually a very talented team, and I've been really happy with the way that they've been playing. The only thing I dislike about Team BDS is some of their names, marked by 8 with a capital and underscores and all that shit in his name. I personally hate. So other than the branding from some of the players, I actually am really happy about Team BDS and what they're doing for their team. So kudos to them and keep moving forward. And last but not least, if you guys didn't see it early this morning, roughly around like 3 a.m. my time, the RLO or Rocket League Oceania Grand Slam $46,000 prize pool has come to a finish. Taking a look at the bracket, you can see how it played out in all its glory, and the two ones that made it to the end are what many consider the top two teams in OCE. It is Renegades and Cringe Society. There's a couple stories that I want to break down in this bracket for those that aren't as well versed in OCE. There's a couple things to this that I should probably tell you about because I leaked a lot of it during my stream. First things first. There's been a ton of rumors and a ton of jokes about me being the coach of Renegades. For a long time, CJ and the guys always joked about it and always say, thanks, coach. I am genuinely close with the OCE guys from Renegades, as I've hung out with them at multiple LANs, and we talk in Discord, and I do the talk show with CJ. But they always say, thanks, coach, as a joke going on for a very long time. So that ended up leading into something a little bit more serious. I've denied it for quite a bit of time, but a while back in the very early weeks of Season 9 of RLCS for the OCE region, I was actually coaching Renegades. I was helping them out, going through VOD reviews and doing stuff. So this is me officially finally admitting it. Yes, I was coaching Renegades for a little bit and helping them out with some things behind the scenes. With that said, I have stepped away for quite a while. There's some things contractually that didn't happen and things that I don't need to go into about specifics, but the things that I tried to implement and things I tried to do, I have to say that I'm genuinely proud of Renegades and what they've done. Since I've stepped away, week 5 in RLCS was the last time that I think they truly lost something big. I think the only other series that they've lost since like late March, so it's been like 3 months, was a series in the Spring Series event. So I know they ended up winning that, but they have won like multiple gauntlets, which is another weekly tournament for OCE, kind of like the Astro tournaments. They've won Spring Series. They've won this. Like, they've been on a crazy win streak, and a lot of the things that we kind of taught and encouraged them on, they're now doing instinctually, and it's very heartwarming to see that these guys took very basic concepts and have really taken ownership of it. And I want to give massive credit to the guys, because for them to be this dominant for as long as they have is very commendable, very similar to how G2 was winning everything. Renegades is doing that currently right now in OCE. So massive round of applause to them. Really happy about them taking the basic things that I taught them and really taking that to the next level in their game. Before this tournament, the one before as well, the top two teams were kind of considered to be Renegades and Ground Zero. So Ground Zero has kind of taken a step back due to some roster changes, and the big reason why is Deca. Deca used to be with Ground Zero, and Spydoge used to be with Cringe Society. Currently, Deca has now gone over to Cringe Society, and since then, they've been pretty polished and kind of solidified themselves as a top 2 team in OCE. So right now and lately it has been the battle between Renegades and Cringe Society. If you guys don't know Cringe Society, you should know the names like Torsos and Drippe. Those two are on that roster. Jake used to be helping them out, and now he's gone back when they were Alpha Sydney and the Chiefs and a bunch of different names. So Renegades, CJ, Kami, and Siki versus Cringe Society, which is Torsos, Drippe, and now Deca. So these two teams have been battling back and forth for the top spot, and Renegades just every single time seems to win. I ended up watching the series on my stream earlier today, and at first it started with Renegades just coming out of the gate, and I mean, they were up 5-1, and then they let another one in towards the end. Absolute domination. Then a super close match in Game 2, 3-2, and then Game 3 went to OT. And this game, I talked to even while I was watching it, even though I knew the outcome, you could just tell like whoever won this OT was going to win the rest of the series. And Cringe legitimately threw this game away. There's no reason Renegades should have won Game 3. Just There's a big issue with Cringe Society in the way that they play, where for some reason they feel the urge to challenge literally everything. And primarily it's Drippet and Torsauce. And then Torsauce tilts off the face area if something doesn't go right, and then it just goes downhill from there. But for some reason they feel the need to be the one to the ball first every single time. And Renegades has slowly started to realize, like, we don't need to challenge everything. We can fake challenge. We can give them a little bit of space. We can do a lot of these things that create opportunities for us that allow us to have more boost, and they just overwhelm them. With that said, Cringe does a good job of adapting to that playstyle, and they always give a really good fight. And you see that towards the end. 3-2, 2-1, 3-2 with an OT at the end. But again, rotation's out of place. The game ends in game 5 with the ball being passed across field to Kami, who's actually rotating back into midfield boost. And Drippet and everybody else just dedicates super hard to moving onto offense because a 50 makes them believe like, oh yeah, we're going to move downfield. Yet he's the last one back and there's no reason for him to be there. And then it's just an easy chip shot over the top for Kami. So again, a lot of things I still have problems with Cringe Society and the way that they play, but I'm glad that they're starting to stay competitive. And some of these teams are staying together. As for Aurora, a lot of teams and a lot of players have kind of kept their eyes on that being this new hot commodity. And since they've only been around for a little bit, people are kind of surprised with how they're performing. The overall issue, I think, with OCE as a region is because they don't have the financial support like a lot of other regions do. A lot of these players actually have to have full-time jobs to support themselves so they can compete. And it creates this issue where teams don't really stay together because they can't really, I guess, take the time to do so because they don't and can't dedicate to the game full-time. So unless you're signed by a pretty big organization, in this case, Renegades really being the only one, Ground Zero I know takes care of a pretty good job of the Ground Zero guys, and Mind Freak is kind of here and there. But like, they're not getting paid a whole lot. So they have to find ways to sustain themselves and can't really compete and give it their all like we see in North America and Europe and even in some South American teams. So again, OCE kind of holds themselves back, and I hope Psyonix takes a big step forward in trying to provide that sustainability so the region as a whole can move forward. It's just hard to justify it with the lack of viewership and the time zone issues and the plethora of other issues that OCE goes under. So again, if you guys haven't gone back and watched it, I do recommend it. OCE has still been competitive for quite a while, and I think they're finally trending again after Drippet left back into the right direction. And it just stinks that we have no international play to test that theory. That is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or any ideas, make sure you guys drop those down below, and you may find some of your questions featured in one of these videos. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you give it a thumbs up as it helps me out greatly. And if you guys haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification to make sure you don't miss any of the videos. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.